This is Signal and Noise, bringing clarity to data, tech, and AI.
A lot of times people assume everything's perfect when you come out the other side and everything is working well. Having multiple revenue streams, you are a company, right? Your family is a company. Would your company only have one revenue stream and you wouldn't diversify? Maybe. But then when things get tough, boop, because a lot of you are C-level executives. And I know for me, I ran my life not as a corporation. My thesis, especially right now, is that everyone's just overloaded. I don't care. The whole inbox zero thing is absolute BS. That was the worst mental health mission anyone could go on, right? Oh, I have inbox zero. Who cares? What does that mean?
All right, I'm ready for war stories. That was what we just left off with as we pre-briefed. Alanna, it is lovely to have you on the pod. This is you're part of my AI channel where I unpack a lot of the consequences of AI. But today we're going to talk a little bit about a different angle, which is what's happening in the workforce and what that means for your personal journey. Now, Alanna, thank you so much for joining me. I'm very lucky to have you here. And the first time I spoke to you, the second time I spoke to you, this conversation just sort of came up by osmosis, and I realized just looking at your history that you're just the absolute journeyman, journeywoman, journey person
journey person.
Literally for how to reinvent yourself and how to be resilient and how to change what happens to you over the course of your career. And so I'd love to just hear a little bit from you as an intro. You started technical, you climbed to a chief revenue officer role, you've been on the sell side of a marketplace, you've reinvented a marketplace, you've worked in other industries outside of this as well. So talk to me a little bit about the journey and why you kept moving around, I guess, in during the course of your career to different functions and places.
Thank you, first of all, for having me. This is going to be a fun conversation. I really enjoyed our initial conversation. Why do I jump around? That's a good question.
Not from company to company. I mean,
just
from
in general.
competency.
No, I get it.
Yeah,
absolutely. So I have a very curious nature. I started my career as a Unix admin because, and only because, I wanted to have root on the systems. And so I was very intrigued by that world, that culture at the time, the hacker culture, because it was very much prevalent.
Yeah.
And I was very immersed in it. And so my journey is always influenced not only by money. Actually, it's never influenced by money. It's influenced by learning, curiosity, and culture. And so that's driven me all the way up till now. I've followed people and I've followed themes and I've joined groups that I thought were interesting and fascinating. So be it the hacker community, my very first group, all the way up to now in the AI community. And by the way, they all intertwine. So my initial group of people that I worked with back in the day are now in the AI community, which I think speaks to the personalities that follow the path. So my ad tech journey, I arrived in ad tech because of my technical exploration. So I joined DoubleClick back in my day as a QA engineer and just never looked back. So was an ad tech.
It's a great place to start and a great role at that time as well, right? It would have been very different to what it is now.
Very different.
And that the QA pieces, talk to me about like that. What did it give you, that role in particular?
It's like going to college. DoubleClick was like going to an Ivy League school because you met everybody that's still in the industry. So the QA engineer role was great because I learned about ad servers and all the things that, needed to come into the world of the ad tech space. But I also, more importantly, met a lot of the people driving and shaping our world today. So, it's those companies at the time were very much like university.
Yeah, they're the bedrock of talent, right? Of curious talent as well. I think that those businesses where I started as well at Microsoft, it was full of people that you could clearly see were incubating in like little eggs in, now I look back at the situation we had in the office and the talent that's proliferated throughout the industry. Now I look back in hindsight, I'm like, wow, something was cooking there.
Same.
That's
I mean,
really
Microsoft
cool.
was a great example of that. With Jeff Green and Eric Picard and everybody who came out of there. Same thing, university, so.
So what was you talk about hacker news and that sort of mentality. When you're in hacker communities, and people that do this, by the way, there's something in their minds that they're like, all right, it's either I want to see what's under the hood because I know I'm not supposed to, or it's I can do it better, or it's what was driving you into that curiosity? Was it like a feeling of the day I need to know, I'll know kind of thing, or was it something more short term than that?
I think it was a combination of curiosity to understand what was going on under the hood, and also the power of having the access
Secret sauce.
to understand it. Right back then in the 1900s, it wasn't 1900s anymore, but back then, this whole notion of a bastard operator from hell, all these quotes coming from the communities, they all spoke to the power of understanding and owning. And I think that hasn't changed up till now. People still want to understand and own. And now in the AI space, nothing. Again, we're right back to it.
Absolutely. In the AI space, it's even more drastic because there are so many invisible things that AI collapses in how things are done and I've seen this play out over time working in platforms, working in algorithms, working now with AI. And I can see on one hand, there is a lot more transparency in certain ways in which you interact with technology and ways that you can, understand under the hood. But then in other ways, there's, especially for people that, have grown up with that era of software that they just press the button and it does the thing. I hope that more people uncover this curious mentality as well,
I think it's important because if you just rely on the LLMs to tell you what to do, you're going to be in a world of hurt, right? The hallucinations alone are very real. I had Gemini create me an email list and it decided to make up every single email address on the list because it wanted to, right? And I was like, oh, this was better. I'm like, what is wrong? But thank you.
Yeah.
Very helpful.
Yeah. And it's a mirror, those moments are a mirror of the instruction you missed because I often used to get told by colleagues and friends that I was a really literal person, that I'm like,
same.
Just in general, when people communicate with me, they're like, there's no nuance with you, is there? It's always just like black and white. I'm like, well, you should see my friend AI. So if you miss an instruction that you just, didn't think about, it literally will do that. It will just fill in the gaps with absolute garbage and not tell you it did that. So yeah. That's a really good example.
Yeah.
So you've reinvented yourself across, what is it, 4 industries?
Mm-hmm.
You've also gone solo more than once, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So that's a lot of code switching, a lot of ledge standing. And I say standing, I mean I've done this once, not any more than that, and it really feels like you're standing on the edge of a precipice sometimes. And for me, anyway, what was the most shocking or sort of the galling part for me was realizing how much mental work had to be done in order to become someone else, because you feel like an imposter until you're there. I have imposter syndrome at the best of times, but if you're trying to do something that you haven't proven in public yet, or that people don't know you are, and people know you as Alanna, the DoubleClick person, you're a QA engineer. Those voices in your head emerge, or you have to make a lot of really brave decisions. So tell me about what the actual signals are for you in these moments where you're like, all right, time to change, and here's what I'm going to change to.
I'll give you an example of the crypto switch because I think it's a good one. So I was in ad tech for a very long time, doing traditional work and doing ad tech startup work. I was running standards at the IAB Tech Lab, and the whole notion of blockchain had come in because of supply chain. And I thought it was fascinating. I knew about it before, I had mined Bitcoin, all of it. But in the lens of transparency and advertising, it was a very compelling case. For many reasons, it wasn't adopted at the tech lab, politics, etc., new technology. Didn't matter. I decided to join a startup in Los Angeles that focused on blockchain technology for ad tech. So I moved from New York with my children, um, and joined the startup. And the startup failed 2 years in, for many reasons, which we won't go into. Very crypto, very crypto.
Sure.
Let's
Yeah.
just put
Yeah.
it that
Leave it
way.
at that.
Let's leave it at
Yeah.
that. But it opened the doors to a company called Consensus, which was run and founded by a man named, is still run by Joe Lubin, who was one of the co-founders of Ethereum. And I joined Consensus and I stayed there for 7 years and just built new technology every single day in the Ethereum space. And it was wild. But the journey was really that one technology piece that I found that I thought was fascinating, that I just followed the rabbit down the hole.
Would you say that this role was a step towards that then?
It was. So part of the Consensus journey had a spin out component to it. I helped spin out Decrypt Media, which was a publisher, still is, but they're now more of a prediction market in the crypto space. And we spun out the company from Consensus Mesh, which was Joe's family office. I raised money and pushed it to be independent. And so that path definitely helped me get to the edge of the ledge, if you will, of where I wanted to be as a human and where I wanted to see myself for the next couple of years. So after leaving Decrypt, after they merged with Rug Radio 2 years ago almost, I decided to just do my own thing. I was always, thinking about it. I always wanted to do it, but there's always a fear factor, right? Because it's like, oh my God, it's just me. And what happens? And to your point, you're always on that ledge. And so I did it. It was a crazy time for me personally. My mom was very sick and just all of it. But I did anyway move forward. And the first couple of months I was just really like, okay, what do I do? And, I did this for other people. Why, you could do this for yourself. So treat yourself like a client, right? I think that's one of the things that's really important is if you treat yourself like yourself, you're like, well, this is wrong. And what are you doing? And so if you're your own client, it works a lot better.
I love that. Such a simple shift in mindset that might unlock a lot of other stuff, because you're right. I mean, if I spend all day long in my own company, poor me, and I have to and I have to tolerate and endure a level of standards and commentary that I don't really reserve for anyone else. So
right, exactly.
Yeah, so that makes sense. I like that a lot. But I mean, it's we talk about your career, and it's obviously, you've had a really cool storied career and lots of narrative chapters to it, and it almost reads like a book. It's really it's a nice. I don't know if you planned it like that, or you're going to write a book, but I like
maybe
we'll tease that at the end. Look, I think that this is masking a lot of the bit that really matters, which is Decrypt rode crypto, and then the market has been challenged. Ad tech has been challenged for quite a little while now. Standards work is, all of the areas you're in are volatile and tough, and experiencing moments that would break people along the way a bit, and so can you talk me through those, like, not just the talk me through the bits where you're like, oh man, like really, like is this what's happening?
Yeah, God, there's so many, right? I think
a
lot of times people assume everything's perfect when you come out the other side and everything is working well for your company. Like, oh, well, she's fine. And it's like, well, there are lots of moments in my career that, to your point, were challenging. And so, I think one of them I mentioned, which was the crypto company going under. Can't talk about specifics, but it was gut wrenching. It was that really hurt because I moved my company across, like my family across the country for this opportunity, and through no fault of my own, things went awry, and there was a question mark there, but it was okay. I think all the question marks that you receive in life, you're also given an answer as long as you're paying attention, right? So I think throughout all of my challenges, there's been money. I don't have to go through all of them, but I think companies failing, the market's going down. Crypto's a good example of that. We had to put on an awards show right during crypto winter at Art Basel in Miami. Sam Bankman-Fried had just gotten arrested, and it was a crypto award show. And the tone in the industry at that moment in time was not great. And so here we are. We're like, oh my goodness, what do? We have to give out awards to people like the Oscars for crypto, and the climate is just disaster. So what we did is we hired the Fat Jewess. She's a comedian in Miami, and we turned it into a roast, and it killed. And it opened up with a, where is Sam Bankman-Fried? And so that's a good example of pivoting. And our head of development at the time, Josh Roth, who's amazing, is a screenwriter in LA. He wrote that script in a week because we had to pivot in front of 500 people in the audience. And then the New York Times was there. So every time you're given an issue to deal with, you have a solution in front of you. You just got to see it.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to see it. You got to be open-minded to concentrate on
and brave
what's next.
To go and do, right?
Yeah.
Take the next step.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is all really valuable advice for someone who's pivoting their career. There are a lot of people in the industry right now. I don't know. I'm pretty sure this might be just the yellow car thing where you say it, you see it everywhere. But I've been doing all of this in real life and pivoting to owning a business and owning a portfolio and optimizing that. And like I said earlier, it's been pretty difficult at times to operate in that way and not sort of quote unquote go to work, get my salary, all that sort of stuff. So talk me through. You mentioned a really good piece of advice at the start, which is treat yourself like a customer. So let's build on that a little bit. So tell me about what you're up to now. You've got consulting, you've got fractional, you've got a few projects going on. So I want you to tell me a little bit, not about what's going on, but what's your mindset in orchestrating all of that and bringing it all together?
I've learned to be very picky about who my clients are. That's number one. It's okay to say no to people who want to work with you if it's not a good fit. So the way I drive forward client acquisitions is a really bad term because most of them are close colleagues as well as friends. I understand the thesis behind it. I understand what they're trying to build. And then I decide if it matches my own thesis, because I join the companies. I don't just come in and consult. I become a fractional part of their world. And fractional is a really bad word because I become a part of their world. I'm not like, oh, no, sorry.
I'm with you for Tuesday.
So I'll see you next week. No, I mean, like I split my brain into 2 or 3 different projects only. And I join and I help and I build and I help fundraise and I help do everything. And it's really shown me how impactful you can be doing the work in that way. I didn't like consulting where I just did a week's worth of work and it was like, bye. It didn't move the needle for me.
It is an interesting way of looking at it. And, I wonder how much that is the way that you operate and the way that makes you happy versus, do you think that that's something that anyone can learn, is how to contribute in that way as opposed to just isolating fractional work to like projects? And is that something, so would you say to anyone doing fractional work, this is a rewarding path, or is it only for certain personality types?
I think it's for certain personality types. I think it's for people. Some people love to just dip in and dip out, right? Some people just love to come in and do that engagement and have it be successful and then leave. And that's okay, right? There's nothing wrong with that. It's just the way I operate. I need to have some sort of skin in the game because I am so passionate and I really dig deep. So I have to protect myself a little bit, where it's like, okay, here are my projects. Here's what I'm doing. And I'm allowed to go deep because this is the nature of the engagement.
And that's the QA engineer in you coming out, isn't it? You've got to get under the hood and
I do
figure out why you're doing what you're doing, right?
I do. I'm a nosy Parker. I do. I really want to understand so I can help better. Yes.
Yeah, no, exactly. A big part of how deep you go into something is shown in the depth of the output, for sure. I think that it's like an iceberg, right? You go just as deep down into the thing you're exploring, and you'll get those just rewards in the depth of the output and the outcome that you can achieve, for sure.
Yeah.
And so now then help me to understand how you currently orchestrate or set up what you're doing.
Yeah. So right now, I have 2 priorities. One of them is Engine, and Engine is an amazing platform that helps IP holders and fans come together to create experiences using the IP that has been created. So you can generate IP on the platform using AI. You can bring in whatever you have created, live action. It all comes into the platform. Fans/participants can come in and create derivatives of that in partnership with the IP holders. It's a really cool platform, and it's bringing me into the film world, which I am a part of because my husband's a director and I run his production company. And I also did a lot of film 3 work when I was at Consensus and Decrypt. And so that part of my life is very important to me. And Engine really fulfills that thesis for me, where it's like there has to be a different way to make and create content where it's more accessible and it's more shareable because the IP is stored on blockchain and so it can be shared and tracked. And so that's that. And the reason why I joined that is really, and you can see in my career, that blockchain thesis has run throughout. And this really brings it to fruition. And it ties in creativity in the form of AI, but also not AI, which was important to me too. So that's one.
And being defensible against AI, right? That's,
yeah.
Using it is one,
Yeah.
being defensible is another. But it seems like that blockchain thesis is really more about how can you take control of what you produce out of your mind.
Control, but also you can also see if it's being used in training models, right? Because you can track. So that is a really important piece, mostly because minus the blockchain and the IP and everything else, everyone keeps pitching AI. It's AI this and AI that and agentic buying and agentic ad serving and blah, 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 blah. Great. But it's not the only tool. And we always do this where as an industry, I don't care what we do. Programmatic was another example in ad tech, right? RTB, that was it. Forget direct selling, right? Who cares?
There's something
right?
is dead every few months. Yeah.
Yes. Data is king. Yes, data has always been king. But, the AI thing has gotten a little bit over its skis, I think. Everyone's using it as their crutch to start pitching and evolving, which is okay. But don't throw out all of the old technology, at least verbally, because you're not doing it in practice. It's just in theory. Just be honest about what you're doing and what your motivation is.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay, so you've got that, and how does that construct in with the rest of what you're doing?
Yeah, so I have that, and I have another amazing company called Orbit.me. I'm very big into wellness. I'm very big into surviving the data onslaught people are hit with every day, be it email, WhatsApp, SMS, Slack, you name it. And Bill Simmons, who was one of the co-founders of DataZoo, created Orbit, and I joined to help him, again, on the ecosystem and growth side, just to help figure out the story and messaging and understand people's needs on the data. Data is such a hard word, but on everything that's coming at them, what tool would be great to help them grok through all of it? And he's built that. And Orbit is just amazing, where it will talk to you every day. It'll tell you what you need to do. It'll go through all of your stuff for you. It'll give you a boost, a pep talk. It'll use language that's very positive, so people can feel good about their day. And I use it for all the time because I get all these emails. I have 5 kids, plus I have, the companies, plus I have my clients. And every morning I have this rosy email saying, hey, maybe you should pay that tuition bill this morning. I'm like, oh, I should. That's true. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So why did I join Bill? Same thing. My thesis, especially right now, is that everyone's just overloaded. I don't care. The whole inbox zero thing is absolute BS. That was the worst mental health mission anyone could go on, right? Oh, I have inbox zero. Who cares? What does that mean?
It's not. If you it's inbox zero for like 5 minutes, and then once you start using AI properly, you start researching better, you start preparing better, you start having more meetings. Guess what? Those meetings turn into more emails, not less.
Yes. So and then your inbox becomes an archive for you.
Yeah. So I have my own little command center that I built, which just funnels in everything that content ideas and leads and pipeline and my network that I meet day to day. And obviously that stuff being there is useful. But at the same time, because there is that wealth of data and there is one central place for it, I am almost like I felt with social media, but in a productivity sense, I am really compelled to do the next thing now. And that's really great because it's made me more productive and it's made me push forward my own business ventures and things like that. But at the same time, I had more chance of inbox zero before when I was not doing any of that because
Right.
I would just I would get through my inbox myself and nothing unexpected would, or the velocity of stuff wasn't quick enough for my inbox to fill. So I guess there's challenges with both, but that sounds like a really interesting play. And if it can marry your personal work, that's even better.
Yeah. So I think those two projects really show how I approach joining companies. It's really, how do I feel about the thesis? Does it fit where I am mentally?
Yeah.
I think both of those are really good examples, Engine and Orbit, of just amazing founders who really have a pulse on what's needed, but also are nice people and are approaching it in a way that is human positive, right? It is, let's use this technology, let's make it better for people, but let's also give them a boost. I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so the common thread is for the projects that what you are working on is the thesis, right? It's very much what you believe is going to happen. And so is there anything else inside that portfolio? Is there anything else? What triggers you to go, oh, maybe I'll add something else, or where do you stop?
There is more. The one's companies in stealth, so I can't talk about them yet. Actually, two companies are in stealth. But it really, they both are the same. They go back to the same thesis of creating for a very specific purpose. I have my own side project, which is the Vigil project. And I have created a website and I'm creating a process for companies and individuals to help understand all the regulation coming at them on the AI side, both Europe and now the US. And each state in the US has their own lovely way of approaching regulation. So it's been fun, just like crypto. So in crypto, I helped lobby in Wyoming for all the crypto laws there. So I have experience. I testified in Brussels and in DC on the crypto side. So it's a natural progression to help on the AI side too. So that's something that's personal to me. That I'm working on as well with certain clients, just helping them get and understand what's happening in all of these different arenas and how they can help figure out their roadmap in a way that's positive. So,
wow. Do you have more hours in the day than I do? It sounds like this sounds like such a lot. And you've got kids, and how do you do it all?
I think having kids makes you think about your day.
Efficiency. Time blocking and efficiency.
Yeah, because you have drop off and then you have pickup, and so I love to get up at 5:00 in the morning. I live on a farm now. We've in Los Angeles County, but we live, in a farm community, and it's really taught me to be present and mindful. And getting up early is required, otherwise the animals don't eat. They start yelling at you. So I've learned to really compartmentalize my day. My husband's always like, did you do work this morning? I'm like, yeah, I did. And it was like at 5:00 in the morning. And he's like, oh gosh. So I chunk up my day where it's work, it's personal. I will say that it is so important to take time for yourself. I wasn't doing that up until recently. And I realized I was just like burning the candle on both ends. So meditation, being outside, all of that, so important. But as you think about your day and you characterize it into different block schedules, if you will, it becomes a lot easier to manage everything.
I mean, yeah, you would. I mean, I would love to see the way that you structure your diary. That I'm sure you've got, a lot of structure and
Orbit. Honestly,
Orbit. Oh yeah, you
Orbit
obviously
really has helped me. I'm not selling it in any way.
That wasn't even a setup. That was a great segue.
But it's true. That's really saved my life. I didn't have any. Well, I did. I have my own agents building things for me, but not in this way. And I wake up in the morning and I have my to-do list already done. I just have to follow it and not ignore it.
I think honestly, like that sort of stuff is where the huge opportunity is. for all people, but all businesses as well, is how can I wake up in the morning and know what the next actual action is,
Yeah.
as opposed to find out what to do. Finding out what to do. I've worked in sales roles in various companies, and when you're managing a sales pipeline, you don't sometimes get to your sales motion or your action until like 11 a.m. because you're doing
True.
admin, you're figuring out what happened last night in market, you're figuring out, what your priorities are. And so, yeah, I think that one of the things I'm most excited about is just, information that has already been turned into that for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
And that's,
it's, yes. Agree.
yeah. Yeah, sorry. And I was going to say, see, it's also to keep it on point with the fractional piece or the way you reinvent yourself. It's potentially a really good catalyst for people that either want to do it but can't, or have the idea but don't know how to execute it, or have the network but don't have there's always something you're missing, or anyways, there's something that you're perceived to be missing when you're trying to build a business or when you're trying to sell your own self or services.
Yeah. So I think there's a couple of things. One, it's okay to fail. I remember vividly, Ben Barocas hired me at Admount to be a seller, and I was not a salesperson. I was an engineer. And he said, all right, fine. We'll bring you on and you can do BD. I'm like, great. And I remember my first cold call email. I think it was like 4 pages long because I didn't know any better. And so the man that I emailed was so lovely and emailed me back and was like, let's hop on a call. And he walked me through my email. He's like, this was very long. Let me help you figure it out. A client did this. And I will say that it's okay to fail. It's okay to pivot. You're not lacking anything. The only thing you're lacking is self-confidence and the ability to ask questions, right? People will give you feedback. This lovely gentleman, I forget his name now, I should know it because he was so nice. When I wrote my first sales cold call email, it was terrible, but he decided to help me as opposed to like blow me off. There's always these helpers out there. They're going to reach out their hand to help you. You just can't get lost in your own head. Go to events. Yes. Don't build a company by yourself in your house and say, I can work from home. No, you can't. You got to get yourself out there. You can't be home all the time. People won't know what you're doing.
Yeah. I love that. I think about that a lot, and I block out parts of my day for the things that I know will benefit me as opposed to what I want to do, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yes.
And so because I'm one of those people that could happily sit indoors at my computer and code or build products for 3 days in a row and not speak to anyone. Will it create the best net outcome? No, definitely not. I'll get a lot more build work done, but when I've gone to an event and then when I come back, I feel this rush of not productivity, but it's a different feeling of accomplishment that isn't just, I punched through lots of tasks, but it was really energizing, I guess is the word.
Yeah, that makes sense. So so in our industry, at least, you're building for community. Right? You're building it with a community. Now, of course, there's outliers in the AI space where people are dumping things up on GitHub and they get acquired in 2 weeks and they don't leave their house. And that's totally fine. Everyone's going to be like, well, people, yes, that's true.
So, selling agents that do things for other agents and whatnot.
Yeah, it's fine. That's a very different conversation. But in our space, in media, you should leave your house sometimes.
Leave your house. Top tip number 1, leave your house.
Leave your house.
And I want to go there a little bit as well. What you've obviously accomplished in your career is incredible, and there's so many really cool projects that you work on. But help me to make this actionable for someone who, say, is a career-long worker in a big company, is used to going from job to job and taking the next job, which is a bit higher, like what everyone does basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they're now in a world of AI coming for their role, maybe, or their company is not doing as well, or it's not moving in this direction that they thought it would, or there's so many different forces that can make someone who's not unemployed anxious as well, or even someone who has been laid off and wants to move into this world. What would you say is something that everyone should do first before they jump off this ledge? You've obviously mentioned the thesis, which is like you need to have a thesis. There's obviously it's complicated to build one, but I'm keen to understand like what would you say is your advice to help someone jump off that ledge into a completely new world of monetizing themselves?
Well, there's lots of different groups that have spun up, like Athena here in Los Angeles, like Chief on the women's side, to help people understand how to move into the space. I've actually started coaching a few people because when the layoffs initially happened, I think it was a year and a half ago, I had put up a LinkedIn post just offering up my services for free. And I got 10 people to respond to that. And they're building their own, most of them, actually all of them are building their own companies now, but they're all terrified for good reason, right? It's scary. And the one thing I told them was nothing. I sat and I listened. You have to talk to somebody. When you want to change your life or your life is changed for you because of a layoff or what have you, it's okay to reach out to someone to listen to you. Get it out before you start anything. Get out all the feelings, all the emotions. A lot of the themes were betrayal. Get it. Totally understand. Right? It's okay to feel before you go.
Yeah.
Right? So get out all that negative energy. And then what's left is you, right? After that leaves your body and you're finished with that catharsis, if you will, then it's you and you can decide who you are. And everybody is picking topics, right? Every single one of the people that I spoke to had an idea in their head already. They just never activated on it because they had a job. And so I will say that you have an idea in your head. You know what you want to do. Think about it, whiteboard it, join a group, join an entrepreneurial group, apply to some of the venture fund incubator programs like Speedrun and A16Z or whatever it is, right? There's tools available to you as an entrepreneur that are really useful and happy to help share those, right? I don't know if they're very widely known, but there's so much of a support system in the space for people who want to do their own thing.
Yeah. And that again is another way that the internet and the AI sphere has really helped in a way, which is if you do apply that curiosity, which is where we started this chat, there isn't a whole lot that you can't get the answer to or at least learn more about. And so I think that's kind of really exciting is the bottleneck is no longer the process and it's no longer the information or evidence. It's curating that and then saying, okay, well, hang on, if this is my idea, how can I find out if it's valid or not? If it's a B2C thing, maybe Reddit. If it's like if it's a business thing, maybe LinkedIn. But there are always going to be places, if they're not events and communities, that give you clues. And so I guess you could start even just following your own breadcrumbs, right?
But it's okay to change industries, right? I mean, one of the things that I do that I didn't talk about is I run a nonprofit farm and we do like women's community things and, we're in California, so woo-woo stuff, right? But, it's so, I have a colleague of mine who just bought a landscaping business that was been around for 40 years and she's decided she wants to be a landscaper. She was in tech. It's okay to switch your trajectory to a different thing. Maybe you always wanted to be a forest ranger. Well, guess what? Go do it, right? I think
now's the time.
Now is the time, right? I also will say, we didn't cover this, but I want to be sure I talk about it. The idea of a portfolio approach to your life is really important, I think, these days.
Yeah.
Right? I don't necessarily, if you have a full-time job and that makes you feel happy and you want to stay there, that's amazing. I'm not saying quit your job, but in general, having multiple revenue streams, you are a company, right? Your family is a company. Would your company only have one revenue stream and you wouldn't diversify? Maybe. But then when things get tough, boop. So just think about yourself as a corporation and how would you as a corporation function? Because a lot of you are C-level executives. And I know for me, I ran my life not as a corporation. I ran my life as like, Alanna, family, wasn't a diversified portfolio of things. Now it is.
I love that. I kind of see it as your role is the CEO of you, right? You're the chief revenue officer or the CEO or the chief revenue officer of you. And what that means is the company you work for, even if it is a big company and that is your full-time day job, that's one revenue stream in you LLC or whatever it is. It's as opposed to I'm Krish and I work for this company. It's like that company, no, even if it's a full-time job, that company is just one revenue stream in me. And then there are other revenue streams that I need to figure out. And yeah, that's interesting because then you can start applying all the company theory to that, which is like, do you have a good strategy? Have you got diversified revenue streams? Do those revenue streams ladder up to the overall thesis and beliefs that you have as a person or as a company? And so then all of a sudden all of the things you need to do next are a bit clearer, aren't they?
They are.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with having a family, right? It's a corporation. You're running a company, you're running children, and you're like, okay, well, I didn't think about it that way either initially. Now I do, because I'm like, oh my gosh, my portfolio is running around. I have to figure it out.
Your portfolio, yeah.
Obviously,
your AI
love.
agents over there running amok. The kids over there.
That they're alive. They're running around. But, I think it gives you grace to understand what's going on too, because you're so emotionally tied to your own life for good reason.
Yeah.
But it's important to detach and be like, number one, you're doing great. Whatever's happening right now, you're still doing great. But how can we fix this from a corporate perspective? It takes the emotion out of it.
Takes the emotion out, and then it also takes the self-critique out and
yes,
you getting in your own way on things, which is probably both similar.
True.
I love it. Alanna, it's been an absolute pleasure to chat with you back and forth. I purposely, when I speak to people like you, I don't have a list of questions that we punch through, because I love the idea that it's going to meander somewhere, and it did. It was really cool. I'd love to sort of, leave a nice hot takeaway, which is, that we should all go outside. I think that is such a nice wrap of what would help, I think, a lot of people get out of their own heads, and all of that is kind of the journey towards reinventing yourself and being resilient and brave in order to pivot into what's next.
That's amazing. And if anybody ever feels totally hopeless or feels like they're just hitting a wall, feel free to reach out to me. I've been there, so happy to help.
Love it, Alanna. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.
Cheers.